Sharks and Lions, second time around, and it's a similar result, 71 points to 31. Just finished watching that one. I am going to keep my voice down just a touch because it's 5:54 in the morning and my children are still asleep. I desperately do not want to wake them up. 71 points, man. That's a lot to be shipping, but the Sharks certainly converted more on their own opportunities. Unfortunate red card in this one. Dumb. Pretty dumb. And yeah, very much a game of two halves with the Lions just absolutely tearing it up in that second half to make the scoreline pretty bloody one-sided. We will go over some of the key events of the game, some of the stats, and yeah, you guys can let me know your thoughts on how this second matchup between the British and Irish Lions and the Sharks went on. Some people were still unaware why this game was on, because the Bulls had some COVID cases that they had to reorganize a game against another team, and it just happened to be the Sharks, so they played twice within a matter of days. Interestingly, Elliot Daly was shooting out of the line early against Werner Koch, showing a bit of intent because those guys were both players who were in the previous matchup just a few days ago. And the British and Irish Lions scrum looked pretty tidy early. That front row of Sutherland, Furlong and George seems like it could be there or thereabouts for what will take on the Springboks in a short time, but we will still have to wait and see how that one went. Interestingly, they went for touch, did the British and Irish Lions, but the Sharks' maul defence early was pretty good, which was encouraging because for mine, I didn't really want it to just be another walkover. I would like to see a tight game, and that's what we really got in the first half. 4 minutes, the Sharks didn't find touch though when they had their own. It wasn't a penalty, it was just a kick to get out of their own territory. Didn't find touch, and on the counter-attack, that man Duhan van der Merwe has got absolute wheels. He finds himself up against a couple of forwards and just goes straight in between them. He draws the final defenders and passes to Chris Harris, who goes over for the first try of the game, so it's 7 points to 0 after 4 minutes. 10 minutes though, and errors from the Lions was something of a issue in the first half, and the Sharks, unlike the game a few days ago, were much more capable of punishing them this time. Daly's pass just kind of slips out of his hands and drops to the deck. Hendrickse is the man who's the first kind of Johnny on the spot. He picks the ball up, he gets it out to Fulmink. Fulmink, even though he's like 31, has got absolute wheels, and he goes over for the first Sharks try, so it's 7 points apiece. 13 minutes, the Sharks were under a bit of pressure immediately from the kickoff, but they managed to win a breakdown penalty, which is something they were pretty competitive at, especially in the first half. They seemed wanting to take everything quickly. The Sharks took the kick quickly. They didn't find touch, but then they tackled, I think it was bigger into touch, so even the conversion from their first try was quick stuff. I'm not sure what the deal was with that, because I would have thought they would have been the more tired of the two sides who just played a few days ago, and they're at altitude. But anyway, they wanted to take things quickly. Poor Wayne Barnes, man, he was puffing and puffing and puffing. You could hear his every breath over the microphone, which is something you probably could do without, but there you go. Again, he's at altitude as well, so he's having a wee struggle. The Sharks went in front when Cronje put a little grubber kick through for Abrams on 14 minutes. Didn't see that coming, but it was a well-worked try. And yeah, he went over in the corner just inside the in-goal area before it went dead. Abrams has got some wheels as well, and they missed the conversion, so it's 12 points to 7. As I said, Sharks go in front. British and Irish Lions turn, though, to go quickly. They were in the Sharks 22. They knocked it on, and then another one soon after. It felt like the British and Irish Lions were kind of having to pass the ball maybe a bit quicker than they wanted to, or maybe that's just something they were trying out, but the Sharks' line speed was causing them some problems, and I think overall, especially the first half in this game, will do them some good, because just having it all your own way every week is not the ideal prep for a three-test matchup against the Springboks. But yeah, the knock-ons are fine if your scrum is able to win penalties, and it did. A few minutes later, that penalty went to touch, that touch became a maul, and that maul became Jamie George over for the Lions' second try. They also missed the conversion for that one, so 12 points apiece. still pretty good, game on at this point. 24 minutes, I wrote a note that says, what was it I said about Hendricks having wheels? He's the scrum half for the Sharks. I said in the preview that I wish he would take the ball to the line because he's pretty nippy. And yeah, Gareth Davis, a long high pass out wide. Hendricks, the scrum half for the Sharks, reads that like a book, pinches it out the air, and he just runs 60, 70 metres to put the Sharks back in front, 19 points to 12. Good to see him, ball in hand. I think he had 3 run meters in the first game, which was a wee bit disappointing, seeing as I know he's got gas. 25 minutes though, the British and Irish Lions hit back. It very much was tit for tat in that first half. Bigger took the ball to the line for that one because the Sharks kind of shot up out of the fence and Bigger took the space. A simple pass for him to Duhan van der Merwe, and it's 19 points apiece. Tit for tat, it just back and forth. 30 minutes, the Sharks got a penalty. Chris Harris was offside for that one. The linesman spotted it. You could tell because the side of the screen you can see the linesman reach for the microphone. And yeah, they opted for the 3, interestingly, the Sharks, for that one, but they missed it. It was kind of an interesting change of pace in that game. I think that was the only penalty attempt of the entire game, but Cronje missed that one. 35 minutes, the Lions had a forward pass that went to ground. That one I think was Bigger who passed that one. And once again, the Sharks, man, they snatch it. It's a chance out of nothing. They snatch it up from the ground. I think it was Abrams. And he gets it to Fulmink, who, as we have mentioned before, is no slouch. He goes over for a try. 26 points to 19. I think, yeah, it was Bigger's pass. It was a stinker to our Duhan van der Merwe. And if there's a guy who you want to be bending down to pick up a low pass on the ground, it ain't Big Duhan. He's not made for that kind of thing. So, yeah, the Sharks are in front again. And it almost looks like it's going to get worse for the British and Irish Lions on 37 minutes because when they get a penalty with like very little angle to kick for touch, Bigger's kick goes virtually nowhere. It's maybe a hint that the momentum is slipping away from them, but it doesn't matter because they go through a bunch of phases. And eventually, Tyg Byrne, as the Sharks are tiring at the end of their first half, picks it up at the base of the ruck. There's no one in front of him, so he just gallops over. And, yeah, unopposed. 26 points apiece at half-time. Run meters are 282 to 272. That's pretty tight. Defenders beaten to 14-16. Pretty tight. Clean breaks are 4 to 5. Pretty tight. Turnovers conceded is an interesting one because remember the Sharks in that first game were atrocious. They've only got 4 turnovers conceded in that first half. The British and Irish Lions have got 10, which is something they would have been a bit concerned about. Every time they made a mistake, man, that the Sharks were just on them. Tackling percentages, both sides are in the 80s, and the Sharks' percentage is actually a bit higher, believe it or not. Second half. It's another intercept. This time, the British and Irish Lions guys are just kind of flicking it up the back, and as I said, the Sharks guys are putting them under heaps of pressure. Duhan van der Merwe's pass ends up with Fulmink. He gets tackled into touch, and then there's some handbags. And from the handbags, our man Hendricks gets spotted by the TMO, putting the old elbow into Liam Williams' back of his head. It doesn't look that bad in slow-mo, but in real time, it looks bad enough. And the way the game is reffed these days, you do not need to give the ref any excuse to red card you. I can only write D-U-M-B, dumb. That is a dumb, dumb thing for Hendricks to be doing. No need for that, man. That's just a rush of blood moment, and he paid for it. He got red carded. Like, you haven't been able to do that kind of thing for a long time, man. And there's, as the commentators on my feed said, there's cameras everywhere. What are you thinking? I think it's the only time the TMO was called into that game, but it was dumb. And from here, the floodgates pretty much open. I know the Sharks were tired in the second half and probably would have shipped a fair few points anyway, but doing it with 14 men absolutely made it worse. Conan gets one from a maul over in the corner after Furlong had gone close, 31-26. Daly gets one from wide ball into space, some tied legs of the Sharks guys, 38-26. But another error from the British Irish Lions gives the Sharks their final try to cock on 52 minutes. That one was Murray, who's just come on. Hugo charges him down for a box kick, and the Sharks made it 38-31, which is still a touch closer. Murray asked the question, was he onside? And my first viewing was like, ooh, was he onside? But it was just perfect timing from Hugo, to be fair. And Barnes did say, yep, we checked it, and it was all good, so fair call. But that was a speed bump in the road for the British and Irish Lions, because it still went back the other way. They went 8 phases down the other end, and Jamie George went over. That was big carries from the likes of Conan and Tyke Byrne in the build-up. Hamish Watson's final pass to George was a pretty nice one, so 45 points to 31. Anthony Watson got one of 57. He'd been looking for a try, I think. He'd been kind of feeling a bit left out. He came on off his wing on 57 minutes from an inside ball from Dan Bigger, 52-31. I wrote a note that it's getting a bit brutal now, and they got another one on 63 minutes. That was Tyke Byrne. Again, he gets his second try. Murray with the pass for that one. The replacement scrum half shot out the line for the Sharks. It was a bad read, and too easy for the British and Irish Lions. Anthony Watson got another one. Oh, no, he didn't get another one at that point. He got into space. Again, tired legs, and you don't need to give that guy half a chance, because he'll take it even with a quarter of a chance, really. Curry with a good support line, 66-31. It kind of dampened off a wee bit then, because once Ken Owens threw a line out and it wasn't straight, the Sharks had a good period of pressure down the British and Irish Lions' end. Won a few penalties to the point where Conor Murray got yellow carded. That was more of a team thing, accumulation of penalties, I think. But still, the Sharks couldn't convert, and the British and Irish Lions had the last say right before full time with Anthony Watson. Absolute bit of individual brilliance, you'd have to say. He beats Folmink one-on-one, beats a chasing tackler as he's losing his footing, and he still remains on his feet, so it's 71-31. Second half is an absolute rout. Run meters finished 338 to 571. Remember, the first half was close, not second half, man. Defenders beaten 39-15. Clean breaks 10-6. Turnovers conceded as 10-13, so that kind of evens up as well. The Sharks making their own errors. The Sharks tackling percentage drops. The British and Irish Lions tackling percentage raises. The Sharks and all up missed 44 tackles, man. 44 tackles. The British and Irish Lions missed 15, but they had all the ball in the second half, so they didn't have to do as much defending. Individuals, Folmink has 82 run meters, 3 defenders beaten. Good shift from him. Richardson makes 25 out of 29 tackles. That's a fair bit of work. Buthelezi, remember, he's backing up after playing 80 minutes just the other day. Makes 13 from 14, so credit to those guys for being ready to stand up and putting on a really good show in the first half, even if it blew out in the second half. But you got to give credit to the Lions, man. They were ruthless in that second half, apart from maybe that 10-minute period towards the end. Watson, that's Anthony, 143 run meters, 9 defenders beaten, 2 clean breaks. Huge. Duan Vandermeer, 128 run meters, 13 defenders beaten, 3 clean breaks. Interestingly, that midfield combo of Harris and Daly, 3 from 6 tackles for Harris and 4 from 7 for Daly. Those aren't great numbers defensively, you'd have to say. But Johnny Hill, 1 from 4 tackles. Jeez, that's... I have to check that tomorrow, because the stats do get updated as they watch the game again. But anyway, not pretty reading. Good reading was Conan, 9 from 9. George, 9 from 9. Hamish Watson, 8 from 8. So still some proper defensive shifts from the British and Irish Lions. But anyway, turns out to be a wee bit of a blowout. But I think that good competitive first half and the Lions kind of being punished for their errors will be a bit of a wake-up call. Because, yeah, the Springboks will be equally unforgiving as the Sharks were in that first half, if not more. So, and they won't let up in the second half. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts. It is 6 in the morning now. I'm going to go watch the next game. Ireland and the US. Should be a bit of fun. Anyway, you guys take care of yourselves, and let me know your thoughts on the game. I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.